So today I'm sick as a dog, I sound like a frog, so I thought I would talk about some trees that I'm going to get to lower my food bills in the future. Some of you will have seen the orchard that I'm currently growing, which looks very sparse at the moment because I'm espaliering all of those trees. This means that I can fit roughly 15 trees in the amount of space that you could normally grow 4 trees, but instead of letting them grow up and bush out like a normal tree, you're training them like a fence. Problem is that two of the trees that I really want to get are walnuts. Walnuts are really expensive. They're about £2 a bag, and I could happily go through a whole bag in one sitting if I was able to afford it, but I'm not able to afford it. So one of the things I'm looking to do is to try and get a walnut tree, but walnuts are a bit tricky. The reason that they're tricky is because they excrete this chemical called jugalone, and this inhibits the growth of other trees nearby them. Now, some plants are more sensitive to this than others. Some will be absolutely fine with it, but the trees that I currently have growing in the enclosure, like my apple, my pears, my cherries, I think from what I remember, plums are fine with it, but it would affect all the other trees. So I can't plant my walnuts in that area. Also, with walnuts, you kind of don't want to espalier them because you want a tree that is going to produce 300, 400, 600 walnuts. You don't just want 80 walnuts, you want a lot of them. And that brought me to my second problem is that I don't want a great big bloody tree because that's going to create a massive section of my garden, which is going to be in shade. It's going to mean that I have to be very careful with what fruit trees I plant nearby it. And especially when it comes to permaculture, things like fruit trees, bushes, they're the kind of permanent food sources. So I really don't want to plant anything near them that is going to get massive, create shade, and mean that those plants don't thrive. But I did find a solution. And the solution is this. Now, this is a variety called Europa. And the reason why this particular walnut tree is so amazing is that once it reaches its peak height, it will only get to about 3 meters tall. So with pruning, it can actually be smaller. And another good thing about this particular kind of tree is that walnut trees typically take about 7 years before they start producing walnuts. That's a heck of downtime before it starts to pay off now. Compared to investing, in the stock market or something, that's actually a very low amount. But still, I'm not waiting 7 years before I get walnuts. And that comes to my second reason why I love this tree. This guy will start producing in 2 years. 3 worst case scenario. That's fantastic. Now, currently, I don't have it just because, as you can see, these trees are expensive. But hopefully, and also I've missed the boat for when I can plant these. I should really have planted them over the winter, did not have the money for it. But hopefully, I think I can get my hands on 2 of them. And I do want 2 just because they're a great protein source. And Lord knows prices aren't going down anytime soon.